Hello, you're all very welcome to this training session on work at height. We're going to go through it step by step, and we're also going to have a hands-on practical demonstration at the end of the course so we all know how to use the equipment safely and know how to carry out the various checks. So as we know, when corners are cut and precautions they're not taken, sure it can result in serious injuries or death. Unfortunately, in 2023, according to the Health and Safety Authority, 11 people died as a result of falls from height. They never got to go home. So what I'm aiming for here today is to make sure that you're aware of the dangers of working at height, and then based on the information you learn here today, that you make the right decisions to ensure that you get home safe and sound at the end of the day. Here we see one of the most famous pictures that was ever taken. It was called Lunch Atop a Skyscraper. And the picture shows 11 lads sitting on a beam during the building of the Empire State Building back in 1923, which was during the Great Depression of mass unemployment within America. So the guy that took the pictures, he's thought to be a fella called Charles Ebbets. So he took over about 300 photographs of the construction of the building for the newspaper, the New York Herald Tribune. On a side note though, it's thought that two of the men in the picture were Irish. The man on the far right holding the bottle, that's thought to be a guy called Sonny Glynn. And the man on the far left lighting his cigarette, he's thought to be Matty O'Shaughnessy, his brother-in-law. So the two of them, they emigrated. They left a village called Shanaglash outside Gort back in the 1920s, destined for a new life in America. And there's a link here on the slide relating to their story. There's lots of rumours though about the Empire State Building, that like hundreds of people died on the site during its construction. But from the likes of the official records, they only state that 5 workers died. One was struck by a truck, a second one fell down an elevator shaft, a third one was hit by a hoist, a fourth one was in a blast area, and the fifth one fell off a scaffold. So when we think of this picture, thankfully we've come a long way in terms of health and safety since then. So work at height wasn't a major concern back then, and over the years there's been lots of fatalities, particularly in the area of construction. But thankfully risk can be reduced by taking simple measures, having them in place, and we'll go through each one of them as we make our way through the presentation. The main aim of this training here today is simple enough really. It's just making sure that you're comfortable and confident, and above everything else that you're safe when carrying out work at height tasks. So health and safety, believe it or not, it's not about stopping you from doing your job, It's about making sure that works are carried out in a safe way, so that you can go home safe and sound at the end of the working day, which is what we all want. We don't want you to be adding to the statistics that are out there. So in the course we're going to cover some key areas, the likes of risk assessment, so including the 5 key steps and a practical exercise to ensure everyone feels confident in carrying one out. We'll look at the hazards, what they are, and how to identify them. So a hazard is the same in every health and safety course that you ever go on. It's anything that has the potential to cause you harm. So for example, if there's a ladder there with a broken rung on it, well that's a hazard, because it could cause an accident to happen quite easily. So the risk assessment process is just understanding probability and how to judge the likelihood of an undesirable event occurring. So think of it as a traffic light system, high, medium and low type risk. Then based on that, we have a thing called the hierarchy of control, and they're just measures for managing risk. So it starts with elimination, such as avoiding work at height altogether. For example, most window cleaning jobs that are done nowadays, they're done from the ground using pole type systems. Next comes then the likes of prevention of falls, and then finally reducing the consequence if a fall does occur. We also need to think about emergency procedures, thinking about what actions we need to take should something go wrong. Like, how do we get the person down? What measures have we currently got in place? And then equipment safety. How to correctly erect it. Check it over and use the equipment. Is it fit for purpose before work begins, or is there other equipment we could use that's better? So by the end of the course, you'll have the sufficient information and knowledge to competently complete work at height risk assessments. You're going to be able to identify hazards, so anything that has the potential to cause you harm. You'll understand the risk assessment process because we'll do a practical in it. You're going to apply the hierarchy of control as well for the control measures and know what to do in an emergency. And then we'll look at demonstrating in practice the correct way to erect and check the equipment over. It's very important to check it over before use. And by the end of the training session, you're going to have the knowledge and the practical skills to work at height safely and with confidence. We're now going to look at the Safety, Health and Welfare at Work Regulations 2007. As part 4 we're going to focus on, which is work at height. So the regulations, they're just there really to set out the clear requirements to make sure that all work at height is carried out safely. So we're going to go through the key points and how they apply in practice. So all work at height, it must be planned and organised. So before a job starts, you need to stop and think, how can I carry out this work safely? Do I have the right type of equipment to do it? Am I trained to use it? Have I considered lone working or emergency procedures? They're two that are often forgotten. Have I thought about the weather, the location, people nearby, and even the time of day? So good planning, it just makes for fewer surprises along the way. So everyone involved in work at height, they must be trained and competent. Ask yourself honestly, am I competent to do the job? Do I know how to erect the equipment safely? And do I truly have a head for heights? I remember years ago I was on a site when someone they froze coming halfway down a ladder. They were okay going up, no worries at all, but they had to be talked down from the ladder inch by inch. They were shaking with nerves the whole way down. Like, the incident wasn't properly planned for, and it just shows exactly why people need to be competent and that preparation is so important. Then we've got risks from fragile surfaces. They need to be properly controlled. So fragile surfaces, they could be the likes of plastic or perspex roof lights, asbestos or fibre cement sheets, any of those type materials, we can easily fall through. So think about your own site. What measures are in place to reduce the risk of that happening? Then we've got our access equipment. It must be inspected. So we'll look at some slides later on showing common faults like damaged stiles, worn rungs, broken or absence feet, etc. And I've got a few stories to tell you on accidents that I've investigated over the years as well. So with regards to equipment, if it isn't safe, it's not to be used at all. It needs to be taken out of use. And then work at height, it needs to take account of weather conditions. Never work in unsafe weather conditions such as high winds or heavy rain. Weather can turn a safe job into a dangerous one very, very quickly. Then we look at the risks from fallen objects. It needs to be controlled. That means using the likes of exclusion zones, securing tools with tool belts, and never carrying items in your hands while climbing up and down. How do you think fallen objects can be controlled on your site? It's worth thinking about. And then finally, the place where work at height is carried out, it has to be safe. That means stable surfaces, safe access, good housekeeping, clear, tidy site, and ensure the area below is protected. When we apply these simple enough principles, planning, competence, equipment inspection, awareness of the weather, controlling fragile surfaces and fallen objects, and making sure the workplace is safe, we're not only complying with the regulations, we're also protecting ourselves and others around us within the area. If you're interested in the full course, please get in touch with Safety First Solutions. I deliver the courses personally myself, and they're practical, no nonsense, straight to the point training, so you can get the skills that you need to do the job safely. Thank you very much for your time.